All right, so this is Bant Soulherder. This is an archetype that I know Gabriel Nassif had been playing a little bit of, and I assume other people have been poking at it as well. As I am known to say about most decks that look incredibly fair, I'm going into this with kind of low expectations. This deck doesn't have that much interaction for Modern. We've got 4 paths and 4 Force of Negation here. And then Deputy's a little bit of interaction. Like Ice-Fang's like pseudo-interaction to a degree. Ice-Fang and Coiling Oracle and Wall of Blossoms and Watcher for tomorrow. These are all cards that basically draw cards onto. And then we've got the namesake here, Soulherder. Whenever a creature is exiled from the battlefield, it gets a 1/1 counter. And then at the beginning of your end step, you can exile a creature and then return it to play. So basically this flickers and gets you constant enter the battlefield effects, which you can, in the long term, set up a loop with Eternal Witness and Time Warp to take infinite turns to eventually figure out however you're going to kill your opponent. And we also have 4 copies of Ephemerate here, which is blinks a creature for just 1 mana and then it rebounds, so it blinks it again the following turn. So really good with all of these 2-drops that draw extra cards, then other various utility creatures. If your second Ephemerate rebound there blinks the Eternal Witness, you can pick the Ephemerate back up. So there's a lot of kind of dirtily value type stuff going on in this deck, which, having played a lot of Modern, you know, the Trons and the Hogoks of the world don't really care about you dirtling and drawing extra cards, so interested to see how those types of matchups go. Would not be surprised if they felt incredibly difficult. Hey, Project Swamp. Hope your summer went well. Welcome back. You're gearing up for a good fall. The gifted sub went away too quickly. Well, thanks for re-upping and welcome back, Oops Bat. Good to still have you here in Hoglandia. Hope you're having a wonderful Friday. We have Jace the Mind Sculptor. I love that card because it broke Modern. Yeah, do people... I feel like there's people that are playing Modern now at this point, like Jace and Bloodbraid have been legal long enough that there's people that are like really into the format that don't remember the outcry from established Magic players that were like, you don't want Jace in Modern, I'll break it and I'll show you how. You will ruin the format. Jace the Mind Sculptor. At least I get to say I was on the right side of history for that one. It's called Value Town because your opponent gets some sweet value out of killing you with a full grip. Yup. I mean, like, I feel like a lot of our hands are going to look like this, right? Like lands, a couple of value 2-drops. Valakut the Molten Pinnacle. Let's do it. Let's do it. I remember the dark time when I was trying to bash Jason BBE. Rough days. Bash together, yeah. Yeah, I remember that. They, 2 great flavors that must taste great together, right? So in a perfect world, this Coiling Oracle will flip a white source. So we get to ephemerate it. So opponent, for people not familiar, is playing Valakut the Molten Pinnacle. If you're one of my standard regulars, let's just drop it in while we're playing some Modern. This is the Modern Scapeshift deck. Valakut the Molten Pinnacle is much more powerful than Field of the Dead because it deals 3 damage with its lands, which means its lands are things are much more difficult to interact with. You don't have that. You can sweep the board or interact with creatures' access. You remember that Punchworthy? It feels like a different time. Remember when that card was playable? Oh look, they destroyed my land. That's exciting. That's exciting. Moto has crashed. Moto has crashed. Give me a moment. I wonder if my opponent played a foil land. I bet my opponent played a foil land. Foil lands usually cause things to crash. Nope. No foil cards played. Just a good old Dumpsky poo. What's going on, Vernash? Yeah, this is my normal start time moving forward. So I've been on at 7 every day for the last week or so. All right, so we can tuck this this Misty Rainforest under him, and when he leaves the battlefield, we get to draw this card. So we can, like, Ephemerate this, grab the Misty, get another white source. But again, like, that's if we have time for that to work. So, like, this is 6 lands. I assume they're going to cast a Primeval Titan. This Primeval Titan kills us next turn, right? It's either getting 2 mountains here to deal 6... or it's getting 2 Valakuts, then deal a lot of damage next turn. Yeah, 2 mountains. They're just killing my creatures, yep. And, like, this is the tough part, right? Like, even if I'd taken that path and had a path in my hand right now, the path would get them a mountain, which would deal 3 to me, and then, like, I'm just slowly dead to this Valakut, and just, like, can't keep any creatures in play. This deck kind of feels like everything people want to be good in Modern, and just really isn't. And I don't even really have cards to make this matchup more competitive. Like I have like these Disdainful Strokes, and I guess I board in Stonehorn Dignitary to prevent their thing from attacking me, and we could board in like a Dovin's Veto. But like these cards, like, our deck is just not very good here. I guess I'll trim a Jace. Yeah, same Punchworthy. This is like, it's like one of those decks where you're like really hoping to play against Celestial Colonnade and Raging Ravine, so like you have time to actually like dirtle around and do your things. Is there any general things I should know when playing Jund? The most important thing to know about playing a point-and-click deck like Jund is being familiar with which key cards your opponent's decks have that you're supposed to be taking with Thoughtseize is. So, for homework, I would just recommend familiarizing yourself with the various other combo decks in the format if you're not, and knowing which cards are ideal to be taking away from them when you're resolving your discard spells in the first couple turns. Other than that, I find decks like Green, Black, Rock, and Jund pretty straightforward to play. If you're familiar with like which things you're supposed to be taking with your discard spells, honestly, a lot of the time those decks feel, to me at least, like you're just supposed to be casting your most expensive spell every turn. Put the Ephemerate under here. You know, it's almost, I want to say ironic, but honestly, it might just be by design. I feel like a lot of people who aren't super pleased with the state of Modern in general were like really hoping for something to be able to like have mid-range decks be really good in the new non-rotating format. And this current standard format that we're playing is just very similar to Modern in a lot of ways. It is a standard format that has mid-range being the most unplayable in any standard format I've ever played, in a way that's very similar to how mid-range decks really struggle in Modern. I want to land eventually. And I'm drawing an Ephemerate off of this trigger. Standard is Modern, Modern is Legacy, Legacy and Vintage is Yu-Gi-Oh! They all just like slid one down the scale, huh? The difference being there is that Standard is going to rotate, right? No, Black White Vampires is an aggressive deck. It's an aggressive deck that has access to card advantage in the form of the Vampire lets you draw additional cards, but that is definitely an aggro deck. So I'm gonna give a blisteringly hot take here. I think the Wurza deck is far more miserable to play against than Hagak is. Deacon, thank you for the 3 months of support. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Thanks for keeping me around. That was so hot it cooked my eggs. Yep. Yeah, right. Like the Hagak deck is at least like, all right, I'm gonna actually kill you. We might actually win this game. I've got a Disdainful Stroke for a Primeval Titan here, and my Soulherder is about to hit 4/4, which means it has to eat 2 Valakut triggers to die. So we might actually be okay here. Do I Force of Negation this? Or do I just stroke the Titan? I think I'm going to let this resolve and then just stroke the Titan. Because then they have to pay for the pack next turn. End step, we can Ephemerate this. So they're trying to deal 3 to that. So we'll blink this, which gives me the Coiling Oracle back and makes the Soulherder a 4/4. I would like more Force of Negation, please. Are you playing against Riley Knight? It does say Riley K. It's the only Riley K that I'm aware of. It does WotC stuff, but not 100% certain. Yeah, I think we're... I guess I just take the path here. Because they're going to be dead next turn anyways, right? Yeah, they're going to be dead next turn anyways. I can't, so the card I'm taking there is going underneath the Watcher, is the key thing. So I couldn't, if I put the extra turn under it, I wouldn't be getting it this turn. What's letting us grab cards? Watcher for tomorrow has Hideaway. So every time this enters play, I get to look at the top 4 cards of my deck and pick one to put underneath it. And then whichever card was under it goes to my hand. And this engine is pretty interesting. And like we have these Force of Negations to like keep them from sticking anything too important. Yep, yeah, we technically have access to the Stroke, but the Stroke's not very important because they had to pay for Summoner's Pact here. Isn't it literally the only non-land card with Hideaway? Yeah, that is correct. The weird part about Hideaway is the cycle of lands that have Hideaway. Wizards had made the come into play tapped part of them part of the Hideaway trigger. So this Watcher for tomorrow comes into play tapped because coming into play tapped is part of the Hideaway trigger, which like it feels really awkward. Like ultimately it's not like super important, but it's like this weird like why is that way? Shushi, thanks for the 10 months. I appreciate that. Welcome back. No problem, Curtin Shi. Easy mulligan here, no second land. Yeah, I feel like Disdainful Stroke's one of our better cards in this matchup, so I definitely want to keep. I'm gonna bottom this path to Exile, I think. Most of the time we don't want to be pathing them. Lead on the tapped land here. Get Coiling Oracle down on 2, and then start holding up Ice-Fang / Disdainful Stroke. No ramp spell on 2 from them is really good for us. They did have a search suspended on 1 though. Yep. Never lucky. This puts them to 3 lands. Their land for the turn puts them to 4. Yep. I kind of wish Moto had the little game win pips or, you know, basic UI design and functionality. Yeah, don't we all? Don't we all? The main deck Acid Moss has been really brutal these games we were on the draw. Or do they not have another land? That's huge. Prismatic Vista is another card out of Modern Horizons. It's a better Baleful Strix. It's a different Baleful Strix. I think Ice-Fang's a great example of different as opposed to strictly better or worse. It was way better for Modern than people thought. I don't know about that. I think peak Modern is a set being printed with a bunch of cards that look like they're good for fair decks, and then ultimately they just take an unfair deck and crack it in half. On the stack, thank you for the 15 months of support. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Thanks for keeping me around. The real question is how many Titans are hiding in their hand. I think I just have to hold up Disdainful Stroke here. Because they're going to have their 6th land from sacking the Sakura Tribe Elder next turn. Had some cards that made Modern an entirely... It didn't, though. Like, I really don't, like... I feel like people pretending that, like, Hagak was this fundamental change to the format, they're, like, are ignoring the fact that, like, what Modern was before it. I can't remember who I saw the tweet from. Oh, it was Corbin Hostler. I might be mispronouncing his last name, but he said something that was just so true. He's like, it doesn't matter if they ban Hagak, the Modern format you remember is never coming back. And it's just the truest statement. Just like the thing people think and want Modern to be is just never, it's just, we're never gonna get back to Splinter Twin Birthing Pods Jund Modern. It's just not gonna happen. It's done. We're past that point. We're hoping they don't have a second Titan here. Alright, well. Well. Kinda wishing this was a Jace the Mind Sculptor. I boarded out the second copy of that, which was probably a mistake. So we're hoping to hit blue card, force, or land plus Disdainful Stroke here. That's not gonna do it. Good chance we die next turn. Do I think banning a card like Crystal Band would impact the format in some meaningful way? Not really. It would get rid of some of the fringe all-index like Crystal Brand and Neoform, but Luther again, just like I feel like the people that don't like playing against decks like those just shouldn't be playing Modern. And I honestly think that's a big part of it. I think there's a lot of people that want to be playing a format like Legacy but can't afford it, so they like play Modern and try and play decks that are basically like they're good, like they'd be okay Legacy style decks, but they're just not good enough for this format. Like this deck especially, right? Like this is a deck that's like full of value creatures. It's like playing 4 Force of Will. That's just like this isn't Legacy. Force of Will, especially a Force of Will that like doesn't counter creatures, isn't really good enough to stop you from dying to these combo decks. We need to ban Sleight of Hand and Serum Visions. Yep. Yeah, I guess. It seems like a list of cards that are in this deck. This is card for card's deceased list. This is card for card, a deck list that the person who sent me dollars asked me to play. I personally am excited for YouTube comments to let me know that I'm playing the wrong version of this tier 12 deck. It's my favorite part about playing decks that are bad, is all the people that show up in the YouTube comment sections and let me know, Jeff, the deck would have been good if you would have just played the better version of it, Jeff. Excellent. I'm excited to die to mill. I did watch Bernie's interview on Joe Rogan. It was good. I don't know. I'm like someone that like seeks out information from a lot of places, so it's not like I'm someone who's fallen victim to like the mainstream media being especially hostile towards Bernie's ideas. They're surgicaling my Force of Negation. Let's ephemerate this in response, I think. And the reason why I'm doing this in response is if they play a removal spell on this in response, I'm going to force the removal spell rather than forcing the surgical. I mean, yeah, you can 5-0 with anything. Like, Magic's got an incredible amount of variance, and Modern especially has an incredible amount of matchup variance, is a really important thing to identify. Wow, I should probably put a bunch of copies of this card in the mill deck. I'm gonna make a note to do that. Add Ashiok to mill deck on website. This card's very reasonable. Bernie the podcast seemed reasonable and likable guy. I mean, like, the ideas that Bernie is putting forth aren't really radical ideas. They're ideas that like a lot of people would be happy to have in the United States. Correct. We don't want to fetch. That is correct. Yeah, Ashiok shuts off their search effects, so they can't enable Archive Trap for you, but like you have Field to enable it, and you can just trap them beforehand. Alright, let's Deputy the Scribe so Knight can kill Ashiok here. That's true too. Yeah, if your Ashiok's just like a 3-mana mill 20. Am I out of blue sources? I'm out of blue sources. Brutal. Oh, magic. Thanks for the 8 months, Jackie. I appreciate it. Yeah, I agree for the most part, Ninja. I'm very on board for all of Bernie's policy positions. His age is the only thing that's concerning to me. Alright, they're at 17. I have 6 power in play. Maybe we can limp across the finish line here. There's 9 cards in our deck. How do we beat Mill with this deck of ours? We probably don't. I have to hope they draw 2 bricks. We need a blank and a blank. 8 cards in my deck. A lot of their mill spells kill us. Bernie, Warren, Biden, or Trump would all be the oldest elected president no matter who wins. Yeah. Age would be an issue for me with Biden and Trump too if I agreed with it, if I agreed with their policy positions, but really not on board with Biden or Trump on their policy positions. It's not people I'm interested in. Why does being old matter, particularly for Sanders? Because Sanders, I believe, if elected, would be 77 or 76 when he's sworn in, which means he would need to be healthy through the age of 81, both mentally and physically. And at that rate, well, so the vice president, well, that's part of the problem, Pinky. So a lot of the times people pick vice presidents that's different from them to appeal to different bases. So in my opinion, I can't reasonably support or vote for Bernie unless I know who his VP candidate is, and it's also someone who I align with and agree with. So I would much rather support one of the variety of other progressive candidates, even if they don't have a track record, as long as Bernie does, knowing that they're less likely to have those natural health issues. Bernie's 77 now. Good Lord. Would be 78 at election. Okay, good to know. And I don't have all the metrics memorized offhand, but I've put some amount of thought into it. And like I said, on a policy perspective and like his from a policy perspective and his voting record, I think Bernie's very reasonable. Just unless I know who his running mate is, he'll never be my first choice unless I also like his running mate. Yeah, I mean, like 70 to 77 is that's almost a decade, and I agree that Warren is also on the older side. 35 is the minimum age to run. Pete Buttigieg is the youngest one running, I believe, or at least the youngest one with a shot. I believe he's 37 or 38, and he's one of the progressives up there. I would not mind if he was the pick. I think I'm just cutting a card that draws a card, because drawing too many cards in this matchup is a liability. Distraction Ninja, thank you for the Twitch Prime support. I appreciate that. Welcome. Thanks for keeping me around. Yang is one of the three. Yang is one of the three people running in the primary that I've given money to. I've given money to Buttigieg, Warren, and Yang. I don't know. I think Yang's income progressive appeals to people on the right side of the spectrum to a degree too, because people on that side of the spectrum understand that like they need some amount of social programs to help people, but they also hate the government telling them how to spend their money. So like from that standpoint, I feel like I don't know if I should have kept this hand. I don't know, Disdainful Stroke doesn't even really do much in this matchup. You know, I don't think it really matters, and yeah, I think we're probably dead to rights here. One Scavenging Ooze isn't going to make or break anything. Yeah, I think there's a certain degree that like the things that we're talking about, like something people that would be hostile or rude in a conversation like this to Munta probably aren't people who are willing to give me money. Yeah, a lot of people are just like fed such a constant string of crap that like they don't realize that like putting money into social programs on average saves the economy and cities money in other places, because it's like preventative maintenance versus solving problems after the fact, basically, is what it comes down to. Yeah, I think that's a big disconnect, Prime. I think a lot of the Republican base are people who make, you know, $15 or $20 an hour, who have been convinced that people who make $7 an hour are the reason they can't afford things. Yeah, no, I'm just gonna go to the next match. We just don't have a chance here. Yeah, I think part of the problem too, Vernash, is that some of the policies Yang is talking about, I think this is true a lot of the progressives, like why Bernie gets negative media too, is like the billion-dollar companies and people who own the media conglomerates, they would be inversely or negatively impacted by the things they're talking about, so they try to give them less good coverage. I think a lot of people when they're young, especially Nivik, especially like during undergrad, love fancying the idea of themselves as being a centrist, but then when you like actually gain an understanding of how the world works and you really start to think about things, I think if you're a reasonable, intelligent adult most of the time, you realize that being a centrist, just like from a practical standpoint, just doesn't function or work in society. You're one card late, Force of Negation. I needed you 30 seconds ago. Like, I've got these Prismatic Vistas so I can fetch Snowlands, but, like, now I don't have White Source. So hopefully we draw White Source. Alright, well, I mean, Force Negation coming in clutch. Get to exile that one at least. Hey, look! We found a way to make Jace playable in Modern. You pitch it to Force Negation. Figured it out. They're right. They were right, chat. This Jace the Mind Sculptor card is busted. Pitches to Force of Negation. Reduced to Stormcrow power levels. Alright, White Source so we can start Soulherdering this, please. Tilt. Yeah, another force to pitch Jace 2. Oh. We laugh because the only alternative is crying. Yeah, basically Prime. I don't think it's very good. A couple of other streamers posted like some random 5-0s when they ran hot and got a bunch of good matchups, but like what do we play against first? We played against Valakut and just like thoroughly got run over. We played against Mill and just like our deck doesn't have enough pressure to like stand a chance there, and like all our creatures draw cards which help them mill us out faster. Now we're playing against Hagak, which seems like it's just gonna dumpster us. And I mean, like, we only had a chance in the Valakut matchup because our opponent stumbled. Like, our opponent's like 26 or 27 land deck, like, missed a 6 land drop to give us a chance. So, like, yeah, so here's the Satyr Wayfinder, which then gives them enough to cast Hagak from the bin, which then triggers Vengevine. This is a pretty slow draw from the opponent. They didn't do this till the 3rd turn. This is the part where I board in Rest in Peace, Surgical Extraction, and this stuff, and pretend like I have a chance. Tell me I have a chance, chat. Tell me it's not hopeless. Lie to me. Lie to me. What? We're in the O2 bracket. We're playing against Gok. What's up with that? That's not okay. Multiverse theory is true. There's a universe out there where you do indeed have a chance. It's all I need. All I need to hear. Oh yeah, basic plains Coiling Oracle. You're speaking my language, deck. Got this really powerful graveyard hate card in my sideboard here, chat. Can't lose. There is a non-zero chance that Texas votes blue in 2019 or 2020. And part of that is like the tech boom that's happening in Dallas. Education has a liberal bias, which by that I mean the more educated people get, the more likely they are to vote Democrat. Weird how that works. Yeah, all the places. I think I just want to purge this and slow them down. I think I just want to purge this rather than jam Coiling Oracle here. Houston is also, yeah, there's a number of tech hubs there. Yes, yeah, for Europeans, blue means Democratic and red means GOP and Republican. GOP / Republican are the same thing. Yeah, I think that's true too. I think a lot of people who previously identified as Republicans are now identifying as independents just because it's the party of Trump now. I think there's a lot of reasonable people who, even if they have conservative values, see the things Trump's doing and realize he's not a conservative and he doesn't represent their values. Maybe I should have crypted this Gravecrawler. That's very possible. Yeah, the problem is Purge isn't very good while Carrion Feeder sits in play. Yeah, there's definitely some of that, Pelly. Aren't some of the conservative senators calling for a different person to be the GOP nomination? Can Trump is so bad? No, not really. There's a website online that tracks how often every individual senator from every party votes in line with Trump and not. And most GOP senators are pretty close in line with him on most things. I mean, this card's not really playable Graveyard Hate. Like this card's not very good in this matchup, just for reference. I'm going to block here. And then inside of combat, we'll Tormod Crypt them. This exiles their graveyard, making Hagak a less likely possibility. And it keeps them from recasting the Gravecrawler inside of main phase 2. Was that a good draw? I think that was a good draw. I think this is how you manage to win here, right? You like limp along in the beginning, keeping them off a couple of things. You draw your rest in peace. You dance all the way to the bank. Hope they don't have trophy or claim. I think I'm actually gonna just purge both of these this turn. I like how we went from China pays for the tariffs to we're gonna wait until December to enact a lot of the tariffs, so that way things don't impact Christmas, just in case. We're still certain that China pays for the tariffs, but just in case, we're gonna hold off until December. Yeah, it's a lot about tribalism. And as much as people like to make it out to be like the left is just as tribal as the right, I think that couldn't be further from the truth. The number of people that like when the whole Jeffrey Epstein thing happened, they're like, Bill Clinton's tied up in it. You're like, good. If Bill Clinton's tied up in awful things, put him in jail and put him on trial. I don't care that he was a Democrat. If he broke the law and did something terrible, he should answer for those crimes. And I don't care if you're left, right, up, or down. If you break the law and do something awful, you need to be responsible for it. You need to pay the price. You need to go to jail. I mean, you don't, unless you're playing Nexus of Fate or Wilderness Reclamation, you don't need the way Moto lets you tap a land. Speaking of lands, we've got a few of those, but we also have a Rest in Peace, so you know, glass half full. Yeah, I definitely think it's a human issue to a degree, Ninja. That regenerates. That's annoying. Looking for a path or another purge. Looking for a path or another purge. All right, third time's the charm, right? So the biggest problem with the comments about the current US economy is that a lot of the comments about the current US economy being really strong are tied to like what the stock market's doing. And a lot of people in the US are so poor off that they don't have money tied up in the stock market. So like even if the country and like investments and stuff are doing well on the whole for a lot of people who have a lot, the economy's not currently working for people that aren't already well off, which is part of the problem. The term underemployed is something that doesn't get enough attention, I feel like. There's a lot of people with jobs, unemployment is low, but a lot of those people are working like 2 and 3 jobs and still can't afford to like put their family in a reasonable place. Yeah, wage stagnation, exactly. Sometimes they play Force of Nature, but I have this Force of Negation, so I am going to play out the second rip here. Yes, that's also true, Percy. Trump inherited an upward trending economy from the Democrat that came before him. Like most Republican presidents, inherit an upward trending economy from the Democrat that came before them. So you need to turn on full control mode, and you have to turn off auto tap for Nash. It's really annoying. Yeah, I think regardless of who wins in 2020, which hopefully it won't be Trump again, there's gonna be some serious market issues. I was playing a Yarok Field Mayor today and was toggling back and forth with full control mode. For some reason, Arena freaked out and lost the ability to respond to triggers, causing me to lose match 3. And a Golden Demise was trying to cast Nexus of Fate. So, like, I think I'm supposed to keep hands that look like this. I only have 2 copies of... Rest in Peace to Mulligan 2 anyways, and I have this Force to counter a Faithless Looting on 1. So this seems reasonable. I don't know that I'd call it good, but this seems reasonable. Hey, what's going on, Silly Cheese? Welcome back. Guess who's back? Back again. Do 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 do. Beep beep do 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 do. Do 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 do. How does Hagak win against us recurring Stonehorn Dignitary? It doesn't, hopefully. They should have Assassin's Trophy and some amount of like Lava Axes and stuff in their deck, but hopefully they just don't. Maybe I'm supposed to Path here. Maybe I'm supposed to Path here. I guess so long as they don't have a Carrion Feeder in play, I can just Path Gawk, which is nice. Dark Magi, mount thy mighty steed. Thank you for the 2 years support. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Thanks for keeping me around. Would I like to see get banned or unbanned next? Well, I mean, if I was in charge of Modern, I'd gut the format. So what I would do is never going to happen. When does the Mythic Invitation thing start in Arena? Do you mean the qualifier event that I'm playing in this weekend? That's tomorrow at 8 a.m. Central Standard Time, I believe. Who's my favorite and least favorite late night host? I watch... The 3 people that I watch stuff from with some consistency are Trevor, Noah, Colbert, and I think it's Seth Meyers is the other one. Colbert's team organizes stuff in nice playlists on YouTube almost every day, so I watch his stuff more than the others because they're not as well organized. If I want to learn some about the modern meta, are there any good explainer videos or articles that walk through the basics? I don't have context for some of the effects, and I find it hard to read the cards on Moto. So, Part of the problem with trying to get into Modern Sojourner is that you know how Standard right now is like 10 or even 20 decks in it? Modern at any given point has like 30 decks that are competitive in it. So it's really hard for new people to break in. Honestly, the best way to do it is probably to just like have a Gatherer or Scryfall window open and be looking up cards as we go. Because even if you were familiar with the top 20 decks in Modern, you probably still wouldn't be familiar with half the decks we play against. Alright, so we're going to Celestial Purge that one. I mean, I assume they just have another Gak here at some point. Yep, yeah, exactly. Help. If you're someone that's trying to find a Modern deck that you enjoy playing, my advice is always the same. You should just proxy a bunch of decks and then play them with friends to try and figure out what you like and what you don't like. ECME, thank you for the 9 months of Twitch Prime support there. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Thanks for keeping me around. Alright, so they ditched 2 Vengevines here. And notably, there's a Gravecrawler in their bin here as well. So we're going to make a point to path this. So that way they can't... So that way they can't cast this other Gravecrawler to get the Vengevines back easily. If they get these Vengevines back next turn, we're dead, though. Yeah, Cockatrice and X-Mage are great tools. Matt and I used to do a lot of Cockatrice when we were grinding back in the day. Not having to find cards and shuffle and proxy things is very good, very great. No, I need to path the Gravecrawler, because if I don't path the Gravecrawler, they have one in their bin, and they only need one other creature to get the Vengevines back. This was a submitted list. I wouldn't really have a choice for this archetype, because this archetype doesn't seem particularly competitive. Playing a bunch of 1/1s that draw cards when they come into play isn't really Modern power level. Attack with this. Blanket. Yep. Am I supposed to path this? Maybe I'm supposed to path this just so they can't cast a Gok if they draw it. Seems like a very real possibility. So, I mean, if we draw a Rip or a Crypt before they get these Vengevines back, we have a real shot here. Or a Surgical. So we have 4 sideboard cards that we could draw into. That would leave us in an okay position in this game. Instead, we'll draw more lands. If they're casting a creature here, I assume we're gonna die. Because I assume they're holding creatures, so they have 2 to get the Vengevines. Since one Vengevine attack is lethal. Does Trophy rotate next set? It does not. Trophy is a Guilds of Ravnica card. Am I dead yet? And even if we had hit the Ripper Surgical here, this other Vengevine probably means we're just dead. Let's give this one more try, but like I said, I'd be pretty surprised if a deck like this is something that can keep up with how fast and brutal Modern is on average. And don't get me wrong, I'm sure there's going to be people that I'm going to delete annoying comments from in the YouTube letting me know about Gabriel Nassif and Saffronolf and other people that posted 5-0s with decks like this. Guess what? 5-color Bring to Light Niv has posted 5-0s too. If you throw enough wet noodles at a wall, eventually one of them sticks and you run really hot and stuff like that. Hey, thanks for the support, Fox. I appreciate that. We'll get that added to the queue this evening after I'm all done. Thanks for keeping me around. Hope you're having a wonderful start to your weekend. Sure. Wall of Blossoms into Soulherder. Let's do it. What did we do game 3 versus Hagak? We rolled over and died. Gemstone Caverns, Exile Moxel. Interesting. Wonder if they're Wurza just playing some Gemstone Caverns. The Fluffy K, thank you for the 7-month resub. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Thanks for keeping me around. Could also be Lantern Control. He says squeamishly. Joke's on you, opponent. I don't have that many 1-mana spells. Come on, Moto. We down here slogging it out in the 0-3 bracket, chat. Look at that value. Force is a pretty good draw here. Oh, you know what? I should have put that into play untapped or played a Vista. So that way I could cast Force for 3 mana without alt casting it. My Soulherder is slowly growing, chat. Slow and steady. So far, my opponent's done effectively nothing. Wonder if we'll see them crank this to 3. I imagine we'll see them crank it to 3. Clear the Soulherder out. So, their timing here is kind of bad. They should have done this at my end of turn in response to the Soulherder trigger. So that way I didn't get to do this and blink something else. Maybe I'm supposed to just Deputy this Chalice of the Void. Actually, that's totally what I'm supposed to do, right? I can Deputy the Chalice and then blink the Deputy, putting the Chalice on 0, right? And that actually locks them off of casting more 0-mana artifacts. So if I'd have done this last turn, I'd have cut them off of this bubble. The opponent's deck very likely plays Urza, yes. What's going on, Engineer? Cast cancel. And then Soulherder is going to blink this and take their Mox Opal. And then next turn we can witness back our Force of Negation. Feels like we're going to get on the scoreboard here. Yeah, I mean, the things this deck is doing are the types of things that many Magic players desperately want to be good in Modern, myself included. Trigger. They picked Mox Opal with Ancient Stirrings too, by the way. Was the revealed card. Alright, so opponent concedes the match. Alright. I guess we'll play the 5th one and try and get a 2-3 out of this deck. The Weather Lady, thank you for the 8 months of Twitch Prime support. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Happy Friday. Hope you're having a great start to your weekend. Listen, don't pretend like we haven't all been where our last opponent was. We're just like, you make the play, you realize what you've done, and you're just like, you know what? I need to go do something that's not Magic right now. Has Jace done anything in this deck? He's pitched a Force of Negation. Does that count? It's me, your dad. Thank you for the 12 months of support. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Thanks for keeping me around. Hope you're having a good one wherever you are. So, one of the things that, like, jumps to the front of my mind thinking about what's been going on in this deck is I'm not certain. I feel like there should probably be Noble Hierarchs in this deck. Like, this deck's really pretty slow and clunky. And, like, being able to accelerate a little bit seems like something this deck would be interested in doing, maybe. I don't know, though. Probably doesn't help enough. Yeah, I don't know. Inspiring Vantage, Aether Vial. Plains. Probably red-white poop bears, if I had to venture a guess. I'm gonna play, since I drew the Ephemerate, I'm gonna go ahead and play this. Because this gives me four looks at a land for next turn, and we can Ephemerate it to get the land guaranteed. Hideaway card's been kind of sweet, honestly. Of course they are, Dad. Yeah, probably some kind of Thalia, Leonin Arbiter deck, huh? Flicker Wisp. Ephemerate plus Watcher is dig through time. In a way, it's a really slow and awkward dig through time, but it does dig. Oh. I feel like this is a matchup we're probably capable of winning. Oh, you know what? I probably should have grabbed the Windswept Heath rather than the Flooded Strand, so I could fetch basic Forest, so I could start turning on this Ice-Fang. I'd love to draw a land for the turn. Unfortunately, we did not, so we need to do this. So I would have drawn a land for the turn. We could have just played Soulherder and gotten Herder plus Watcher going. I'm just going to keep hitting land drops with this, I think. Hey, dumping truck. Thanks for the 2/3 of a year. Welcome back. I think I'm going to fetch a basic plains here. Although I guess if I fetch basic plains, I can't double Ice-Fang next turn. I'm going to grab Breeding Pool and try and trade this Ice-Fang for this Blade Splicer, I think. They have a Resto or a Flicker Wisp here. We're going to be in a little bit of trouble, so we're going to have a lot of power in play. We're down to 11, and we're taking at least another couple points of damage from our land, so we're effectively at 9. It might have been right to path this Golem this turn, honestly, just to keep my health total higher. I could have fetched, like, basic plains and path this. The fact that Watcher comes into play tapped has been awkward here, because it means he isn't able to trade with this Thraben Inspector this turn. I'm grabbing Time Warp here. That might be enough to pull us through this. We can find an Eternal Witness and start blinking that. So we'll blink the Watcher here, which puts Soulherder up to a 2/2, which is great. Wow, they have a resto and they didn't blink. I'm really surprised that they didn't resto their Blades Placer last turn. We'd be in a much worse spot if they'd have restoed their Blades Placer last turn instead of trading with our Ice-Fang Coatl. I think I'm actually going to take this basic forest here, because I kind of like an untapped land next turn that doesn't deal damage to me. Yeah, whenever a creature is exiled, Soulherder gets bigger. So, in fact, I'm going to go ahead and path this resto, because not only does it get rid of the resto, but it cranks Soulherder up to a 4/4, which means it profitably blocks this golem. What is that card we blank? That is Watcher for Tomorrow. Every time it enters play, it looks at the top 4 cards of our deck and it tucks one underneath it face down. And then when it leaves play, we get the card that's currently underneath it. I didn't realize how much sound MTG Arena adds to the experience. It really does. It's funny, people that, like, are just getting into Magic and my content, especially with the Arena stuff, I feel like part of the reason why I'm as consistently loud as I am is because I'm used to being the only energy and presence with the game that I'm playing. Because, like, when I'm playing Magic Online, I'm the only energy in the room, basically. Alright, so we're taking 4 here. Yikes. Well, I guess. So what are we hoping to draw here? We're hoping to draw Eternal Witness. So let's Time Warp me. Wall of Blossoms is not a bad pickup here. It blocks the 0/3 profitably, and they're down to just 1 card in hand. Well, they're going to draw 2 in the next turn cycle. They've played 2 paths. One of the things I'm a little bit worried about on my mind is my opponent is a red-white deck, so there's a good chance they have Lightning Bolt in their 60. So staying above 3 is ideal. Path is a good draw. We'll start my next turn now because I cast Time Warp. I'm going to play these lands out, but I think in a perfect world, we're just, like, not cracking them. So, if we hit Eternal Witness into the Blink creature, we might go infinite. It's really weird, Jeff. Why didn't Time Warp go back in your library and why is it instead? Asking the real questions. Asking the real questions. So, we drew a bunch of lands here, but we also had a couple of Path to Exiles, and we've got Ice-Fang, Coiling Oracle, Wall of Blossoms in play. So, like, outside of just getting, like, burned out by, like, say, Mom and Pop Thopter Shop or some Lightning Bolts, I think we're gonna be in an okay spot here. There's 1 more shock land in my deck, so I think I might crack down to 5. It's the difference between They have a Dire Fleet Daredevil here. If they have a land, they can Time Warp, I guess. Hey, Psycho Smurf. Dealer's Choice, thank you for the very generous tier 3 resub. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Thanks for keeping me around. Yeah, Pia and Karen Nalar, our Mom and Pop Thopter Shop. So does that go into my exile zone? How does that work? Do I get to rebound this now? Is that how that works? Oh, if you cast the spell from your hand. Okay, so it only rebounds if you cast it from your hand. Got it? Because that's what prevents it from rebounding endlessly. That makes a lot of sense. Mulldrifter. Oh, baby, you know just what I like, derpy value deck. It's dirty, dirty Mulldrifters. Drift for me, baby, drift for me. Puppy. Down to 30 cards in our deck here. This deck really looks like an EDH deck I played once, yeah. You played Panza 3 times at the Grand Prix. Rough. That's really like peak Modern in a lot of ways. Like, you spend a bunch of time like learning your matchups in and out, and you know all the important ones, and then like you play against Panza a bunch and you end up sad. Panza is what we refer to red-green land destruction as. Mulldrifter with Risen Reef. That's hot. I have this Force of Negation in my hand now too, so like eventually we're gonna draw like an Eternal Witness or another Soulherder, and we'll just like generate endless value from there. And we have Force of Negation to protect our threats at this point, or stop their lightning bolts from killing us. So this game's gonna take a little bit, but I'd be surprised if we don't win. Yep. Famous last words? Maybe. I don't know. How many lands are in our deck? How many more lands can we draw, chat? I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Apparently plenty more is the answer. How many lands are in this deck? 20, 22, so that's 15. So there's 7 lands and 27 cards. I don't know, Meadow. I haven't really played either of those formats since Force of Negation was printed. I do know that 4 mana Karn had a really big impact on Vintage. I assume this is targeting Blades Placer, to which I'm going to path. Is this limited? Basically. So I'm pathing their 1/1 because Resto is targeting it. And I'd prefer they don't get another Golem. Good golly, do they really have a Flicker Wisp? They do have a Flicker Wisp. How do we win from this board? We have Infinite Turns combo in our deck. The version I brewed when Soulherder was previewed consisted of Dorks, Thragtusk, Resto, Reflector Mage. Yeah, it seems pretty reasonable. Yes, yeah, denying the first strike is something we're also interested in. Flicker Wisp being their last card after Resto was a little unfortunate, but... So because they have these first strike creatures, they could start making inroads on attacks here. Alright, so this eats here, this eats here, this eats here, this plus this trades here. Block here, go to 3, dotted the lightning bolt in their hand. Yeah, I think that's the line. So, I know someone's going to be upset when I died a lightning bolt, tapping out to cast this instead of holding up Force of Negation, but they just drew one card for the turn and we haven't seen any bolts out of them yet, so I think it's right to cast Ice-Fang here. Was that a good draw? I feel like those were good draws. So, Night of Autumn gains us 4. Soulherder gets in here and starts blinking my stuff. I don't really care about Vial. I should have attacked for 1. Now I want to draw cards. We have a lot of live draws. I just want more good cards in my hand. We drew 2 spells in a row. Deck's busted. All the way up to 7. Do you have a fetchable blue source to cast Force of Negation? We don't, actually. I should have left more blue mana up. Yeah, I can alt cast it here. So if they attack with both the first strike creatures, I'll block 1 and I'll take 2. Chat, we're going to begin sculpting their minds. I don't know how they could ever win anymore. Jace the Mind Sculptor. Silly opponent. My incredibly powerful and modern playable Jace the Mind Sculptor. And like, to be fair to Jace, this is the type of game where Jace is good. The type of game where we're playing this grindy fair game. Yeah, next turn we have infinite turns. This next turn is my opponent's last turn. So this Eternal Witness draw means that we pick up Time Warp, we cast Time Warp, we end step Soulherder, Blink the Witness. Hey, Cardinal, thanks for the 9 months of support there. I appreciate that. Welcome back. I believe I have 2 basic forests left in my deck for fetchable lands. I have a Plains too. I have a Plains and 2 forests. Inspired by you to start playing MTGO, any tips for a new player? Yeah, learn the hotkeys. You'll play a lot faster. You'll notice, like, when You'll notice, like, instead of moving my mouse all the way over here to click OK, the OK button just happens. That's because I'm using the hotkeys. Let's do the time warp again. Do 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 do. Punish for not fetching. That's not true. I have Jace the Wallet Sculptor to sculpt them back to the top of my deck. And now we start ticking Jace up and up and up. Nah, you can keep that, opponent. You're never gonna have a chance to cast them. Never gonna give you up. Never gonna let you down. Never gonna run around and desert you. Let the slow beatdown commence here. So I have 7, 8, 9, 10. To be fair to my opponent, this game's gone long, and like, there's a very real chance that we like time out here, right? Like, I'm up 3. My opponents used half their allotted clock for this match already. Yeah, Soulherder will start attacking soon. Jace is ticking up. Ooh, Ephemerate. Playing Ephemerate to make the Soulherder attack sooner is a good idea. Let's turn Night of Autumn into a 4-3 here, so we can start attacking with that. In my copious amounts of experience playing Magic Online, it is generally the people playing the tier 12 decks that are going to make you click through it. Are they conceding or did Mono lock up? I can't tell. My timer's not going down. Alright, they decided their time is worth more than waiting a few more turns. God bless us, everyone. Night of Autumn's good, Stonehorn's good, Thragtusk is good, Scavenging Ooze is good. Force of Negation's pretty bad here, right? They don't really have They don't really have counterspell or things we're looking to counterspell for the most part. What's the other cut? I guess there aren't that many creatures dying because both of us are on exile removal. Nah, Ephemerate's great here. This is a long, slow, grindy matchup. Now, Witness also great here. Long, slow, grindy matchup. This is like what our deck was built to do. All right, there's a good chance if you've ever left a comment like this on my YouTube channel. I was excited to watch Jeff play this deck, but it was so poorly piloted. The first two matches were full of cringeworthy punts. Comments like this I don't respond to. I click here and there's this option to hide user from my channel, and this person's never going to have a comment that they post appear on my channel ever again. Because people like that are not worth the time to interact with and respond to. So there's a good chance if you ever left a comment like that on my YouTube channel and I no longer respond to your comments and you're wondering why I don't respond to your comments anymore, that's probably why, because you were a dick, and once you're a dick to me, you're no longer worth my time to respond to. Correct. Life is too short. There's been a number of very reasonable and positive interactions on my YouTube channel, and a number of people who support my content with actual dollary dues have told me that they gain value from having YouTube comments enabled on my channel. So I, in no way, shape, or form, intend to remove YouTube comments from my YouTube channel, but I also don't believe in giving people like that are just being assholes the time of day. Yeah, it definitely doesn't have to be something where, like, people like that ruin it for everyone. But I feel like that'll be enlightening to some people who have been rude and then wonder why I haven't gone back and responded to their comments anymore. And also, just like, and this is something that really kind of sucked, comments like that are so much more prevalent on modern videos, which already get less views. Which just makes it kind of, you know, incentivizes me to do less modern content. Because it's already content that's, like, worth less from that perspective to me, because it's getting less views. And then, like, it's like less views plus more hostility. I think we're just destroying they missed a land drop here, so I'm just gonna start destroying these Aether Vials. When have I ever been hostile? I've been hostile plenty of times in the past. And in fact, a lot of the hostility that I've put out into the world personally comes from me interacting with people like that. And instead of just ignoring them and moving on with my life, I respond to their hostility with hostility. Magic's fun. Magic's fun. Yeah, if we have a number of basics in our deck at least. So if we, like, draw an island and a plains, we can still play Magic here. And we have these O4s to block, so that's nice. They're down to one card in their hand, and plus a clue on board. Yeah, I wouldn't really define the way I use swearing as hostility, though. It's more expressive than hostile. Hey, Tag, thanks for the half-year support. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Thanks for keeping me around. Just to push my glasses up and actually you for a moment, Ninja Killer. The lands that are mountains under Magus of the Moon are not basic mountains. They are non-basic mountains. Our opponent played this card Magus of the Moon, which makes every land we control that's not basic a mountain. So basically, other than these forests, I can't play Magic. Modern's a lot about that. Modern is basically decks that are trying to kill you by turns 2, 3, or 4, or decks that are trying to lock you out of playing the game. I got you, Percy. We're going to go ahead and bin the Time Warp here, because we're pretty far from casting that. These are... I don't know, maybe I should just concede this game. We're not 0% to win it, but it's just like, it's not good Magic, right? It's not, like, very interesting. It's just like me sitting here on my hands waiting to draw basic planes or for them to put enough stuff into play to eventually kill me. And that's kind of like, so like we played Jeskai yesterday, and like we played against Tron twice, and we played against, so we played Tron twice yesterday, and we played Lantern, and we played the Allosaurus Rider deck. And like we went 3-1 with Jeskai, but they were just some of the worst matches of Magic I've played in a long time. And I was just like, I don't really want to travel to an event to play these games. Even when I won, they weren't very good. You got an Incredibles game. Is it for the Switch? You want to show the internet your game? Is it pretty cool? Maybe we can play later after Dad's done working?
Well, we're going to play Dad.
Oh, you and Mommy are going to play?
Yeah.
That sounds like a good idea. Have fun.
Do you want one of these donuts?
Do I want a donut? Of course I want a donut.
Let's have one because
I asked him if he wanted to share them with you, and he said no because you would eat them all.
You hear that, Chad? He's met me. He's met me. Alright, and Sword of Fire and Ice is going to wrap things up for us here. I think I'm going to go ahead and just run this back. We'll fetch basics more aggressively this game since we know they're Magus of the Mooning us. This deck's actually pretty good against Blood Moon on average. It's just, you know, it's one of those surprise cards where, like, if it's not on your radar, it jumps up and gets you. Alright, yeah, this hand's actually very good. So the creature version attacks and blocks, which is meaningful, Dude Light. The creature version also comes in off of Aether Vial, which is nice. My opponent has mulligan 2-3, so maybe we are going to scrape a 2-3 out here. Do I have a list of child-friendly Switch games? I don't, but that's probably something I could put together. If your kids are into Paw Patrol, which, let's be honest, if you have small children, they're probably into Paw Patrol. The Paw Patrol game is really good. Declan can play the Paw Patrol game all on his own, and he's 4. Games that are good to play with them, if you're actively playing with them. Yoshi's Crafted World is a great one. It has a lot of stuff in it that will scale with them. Yoshi's Crafted World actually has a, like, what's the way to put it? It has, like, a child mode where you can, like, fly instead of just double jumping. That makes a lot of the levels a lot easier to play. And then, I saw someone mention the Lego games. The Lego games are a lot of fun, and Declan enjoys smashing things. But at the age he's currently at 4, he definitely doesn't really grasp the actual game part of it. If you've never played the Lego games before, and I actually hadn't before playing them with Declan, there's a lot of puzzles in them. And I actually like playing through the Lego games with him. He smashes things and I do the puzzles. Some of the puzzles in the Lego games can be annoying though, because like certain parts of them you basically have to like smash your random surroundings and then rebuild them into something useful. And sometimes you can like miss which specific thing you were supposed to be smashing. Cuphead, I haven't heard of that one. I quietly 100% the Lego games. My 7-year-old plays through after they sleep. That's great. Yeah, Declan and I did Lego Villains was the one we've played the most of, and we played the entire storyline, and then we're playing through the storyline again with all the different characters. Hey, look at that! Remember when I said this deck was good against Blood Moon? I show you Exhibit A. I was honestly really impressed with the Lego game. I had low expectations going in because I'd never played one before and was very pleased with the actual gameplay. I'm just gonna grab Wall of Blossoms here, I think. I already have 2 basic forests. Hopefully this can find us a basic island here by impulsing every turn. Why did we gain life there instead of producing a relevant creature? Because I'm intending to play this other Soulherder next turn, which will then start blinking this. Minecraft is on the Switch, and we have Minecraft for the Switch, and I'm probably going to lose some viewers for saying this, but I really don't like Minecraft as a game. And the Minecraft controls are a little bit too tough for Declan to do on his own. So, like, he mostly just plays Minecraft when my brother-in-law comes over. Hey, Sir Phil, thanks for the 6 months of support. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Thanks for keeping me around. Mario Kart's a good game for kids too. I forgot. It's been a little bit since we played that one because it was the first game that we got. So Declan got a little sick of it because we played it a bunch, but Mario Kart, like, helps them drive and, like, stay on the road and stuff like that, so that's good, too. Also a good one. What is this game from the 90s you're playing? Is it Yu-Gi-Oh? What's going on, Spawnbroker? We are almost done with Magic Online for today. We'll roll on into some standard here momentarily. Our Soulherders are going to start pounding down their door. Yeah, the opponents played very slowly. Yeah, I'd rather just, like, sit and build with the Legos. Sit and build Legos with the kids. Rather than play Minecraft. I'm planning to stream the tournament tomorrow on a 10-minute delay. So I'll be live about 10 after 8 tomorrow morning. I think we start attacking next turn. Because I'll have a 7-7, a 5-5, and a 4-3. Maybe one more turn. I guess I also get to Ephemerate here, which will be great. So that'll make these bigger as well. Path here is actually not a bad draw. It lets us kill whatever they try to protect with Giver of Runes. Never watched a stream with delay. I'm guess the entire thing, including chat, is delayed. It's not actually. So you'll just be chatting with people watching something 10 minutes behind. It's not that dissimilar from watching things that are pre-recorded, in all honesty. It's like watching a show for the first time with other people talking about it together. That's not particularly useful in the face of my Knight of Autumn. So, the tournament tomorrow is a Mythic Championship qualifier for the next Arena Mythic Championship. So, if I go 10-1 in the Saturday tournament, I qualify for the second day of that tournament, which is on Sunday. And then if I go 5-1 in the Sunday tournament, I get to qualify for the next Mythic Championship that's on Arena. So, Larry, the way day one works for the event tomorrow is you play the matches at your own pace, so there shouldn't be downtime. Opponent's had enough. All right, so we hit the 2-3. Yeah, I've played Betrayal before. That's an interesting one. Betrayal's neat because it's like a co-op game that isn't purely co-op. It's like somewhat cooperative, and the dynamic part of it is really good with the different scenarios. As far as this deck goes, I don't think this deck is very good. I think it's cute. I think it's really sweet. I think if your opponents are playing Thalia and Celestial Colonnade and Raging Ravine, this deck is probably more than reasonable. I think if you're playing against Valakut and Hagak and Shran, you're just going to get dumpstered with a deck like this, and that was kind of the experience we had in this league. So we went 2-3, but I don't know. I felt like the games we lost were kind of just slaughters. Is Valakut even good right now? It's not, but you have to remember, like, this deck isn't very good either, and we're talking about playing it, right? Modern is a format where people don't stop playing their favorite pet deck just because it's not very good. regardless of what decks are finishing in the top of any given Modern tournament, people are showing up to those big tournaments with everything under the sun because they have their pet deck that they love playing, and they're not going to stop playing it and spend $2,000 on something else just because their pet deck becomes slightly worse. All right, let's roll on into some